Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Michi Makes Up. Today's video is going to be on a handful of makeup items that I just really don't like. They have not worked for me. And it's been a couple of years since I started reviewing makeup, and I find that it's been a very great run. I've managed to avoid items that after I've purchased them and tried them and just didn't like them at all. So this is a small handful, but nonetheless, there's just so much makeup that I think we've all come across. Eyeshadow palettes, mascara, eyeliners and all that where it just didn't work for us. So these are my items, and it's totally based on my experience. So I realize that you might see this and say, hey, I have that. I love it. It really works for me. If that is the case, let me know below. I definitely want to give this another try rather than just having it sit in my vanity and just basically expire. But if these items don't work for you, I'd also like to hear if you've been having or if you've had the same issue with them. So I'm actually going to put together a look using these items, and because I'm curious, it's been a while since I've gone into them, so I want to give them another try and just kind of tell you as I go if I find that I'm still having problems with it. So my first item on the list, we're going to start with the eyes first. It's going to be from Natasha Denona. It's her mini palette she released last year for Valentine's Day. It's the Mini Crush palette. It also comes with a brush, which I've set aside. It's no longer in the box, but I love her Valentine's Day releases. They tend to be, pink, mauve. Last year with Mini Crush, she also had like red tones, red shades, and I generally love them. And I was very disappointed that these shadows are just not her typical Natasha Denona quality shadows that I've come to know. So I think I've only used this once for the video, and I conclude that I didn't really, I find that the quality wasn't that great. If you're interested in watching the video, I'll have a link below. But this is the second time that I'm going into this palette. Now that I think about it, truly I've only used it once. So let me try this again and see if it's the same verdict as before. So I'm going to first go into this shade here. So the matte shade is fine. I'm getting good coverage, good payoff, and the shade is showing beautifully on my skin, which I thought it would be actually a little bit lighter than that, but it's quite pink. Anyways, it's fine. This is fine so far. Next, I'm gonna go into the center shade here, Koi, and I'm placing this on the upper lash line and working it to the outer corner. I'm not getting the payoff that I'm expecting here. I'm going to go in with a second application. Okay, it is buildable. That's good. And I'm going to just blend it out a bit. I don't like the shade. I mean, look at that. Going with a second application. A good matte shade and a good Natasha Denona matte will give you a much smoother, or actually like a full swatch. And it should be much smoother than this. So this is what we're seeing transferred onto the lid. Okay, so moving on, let's try her metallic shade here. We're gonna go with this one. The metallic feels soft and buttery. And nice swatch too. I'm gonna go back in for a second application here. Yeah, this is fine. Then I'm gonna tap the center of the lid with this duochrome here. The duochrome is beautiful, and I think it swatches nicely too. There's a good base pink shade to it, but paired on top of the red here, it just doesn't stand out that much. And I mean, you can see the sparkles, you can see the silvery, the pink to it, but it doesn't really make the look pop as you would expect from like a beautiful sparkly or duochrome shade. And she's had some really fantastic duochrome or just sparkly shades that just adds that beautiful pop, and it gives her, it really highlights her style of makeup. And I feel like this shade here paired with the reds doesn't have that same effect. And I wonder if I'm being a little bit too harsh here, but this is a mini palette with these 5 shades. And if it was a bigger palette, like a 15 pan meaty palette, then sure, some of the shades aren't gonna work as well as some others, but when it's a mini, they should all work very beautifully with each other. So that's my expectation. And so far, this matte, not good, not good at all. This here, by itself, it's beautiful and it's okay, but doesn't seem to have that much of as much impact as you would expect paired with this here. Let me go into this shade and see what that's like to have on the lid. Okay, so actually what I'm gonna do is use this as more of a liner because we already have a lot of like pink and red up here. I think it's just gonna blend right in. I'm gonna say this shade is gonna swatch very similarly as this matte. I'm gonna go back in for a second application. Okay, not as bad, not as bad as this one here. But it does this, it kind of blends away. Because every time I go in to just see if I can smooth it out, I'm taking some pigment away and then just, you know, moving it across here. But I feel like I'm just blending it away instead of building it on top. Overall, I think this leaves a lot to be desired. I have 6 other of her mini palettes, and they are all great. They're all fantastic. This one is just nothing like what I'm used to seeing from her, so this continues to be a disappointing palette compared to the others. And I've tried it again today, and my opinion is still the same for this. Moving on to another eyeshadow product, I have the Chanel Lid Lacs. These 2 are limited edition shades. They were from some time ago, like 2 years ago, I want to say 2 winter seasons ago. But I have here Lame Bronze, which is really an olive shade. And then I have Lame Pourpre, which is this. Kind of matches what I have here. So these are beautiful. They're like a molten metallic finish. The problem I have with them is even if you wait for them to dry and you add on a second application and you try to blend it, it's gonna be a hot mess. Let me try it again to see if maybe the way I use it has changed. Maybe I'll use a brush that's really good with liquids. A Sonia G Fusion brush is gonna be perfect for this. So yeah, let me use that brush, a smaller one. I'll probably use this. Or even the worker brush from the Fusion series. But let me try to blend out that way and see how far we get. So on the base, I do have Natasha Denona's matte from earlier. And I remember I also have this product I wanted to show you guys, like the Lid Lac. So I didn't recreate this kind of failed look on here. We'll just put this on top. So I'm just blending it. All right. That's all I have. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to let it dry. But I want to add a little bit more so I can maybe blend on top a little bit or diffuse it just a little bit, and then maybe a little bit more here. I think it's dried, and I'm just going to lightly tap here, tap in the center, and blend. All right, so I added some more, and I was not able to successfully blend this upwards. If I do it when it's dry, this is what happens. I am moving the pigment here upwards a little bit. However, it's like taking some of that, taking actually like some of the product off of the lid. So I'm moving some of the product off of the lid into this other direction I need it to go. And then you see when I build it, there's this unevenness. Like this looks a lot thicker than maybe like right around here. Like right around here I think looks pretty. And now this is like built up and it looks kind of uneven. Even though I'm using this brush designed for creams and liquids in hopes to even it out. It just doesn't there's not a lot of flexibility to let you blend it out a bit, work on it a little bit before it settles down. And by applying another layer, I think it just makes it look worse. That's been my experience. I think if it was a light shade, I think that would be a lot different because you can allow for, you know, some of your natural skin tones to come through. So even if some of the product gets moved, if you're trying to blend it, it wouldn't be as noticeable, whereas these are very opaque shades. Very opaque. They're beautiful, which is why I got them in the first place, and they're perfect for fall, winter time. They're fantastic. I just haven't been able to use them, work on them in such a way that's intuitive to how I use makeup. So that's why these have made it onto the list. I will probably never purchase a lid lac for those reasons, unfortunately. It's just not intuitive to me the way I like to use or put on makeup. So the next I have here is from Dior's lip line. It is their new lipstick or new formulation that came out last year. And I love the lipstick case, this matte, so chic. It's just like their Dior Lady handbag in that kind of matte finish. And this is a matte finish lipstick and supposed to be really very, very long lasting. The shade I have here is 231 Forever Tender. When I saw the shade online, I absolutely was like, I need to have this shade. It's beautiful. It's got this bright coral orange to it. I love it. So I was very much looking forward to this, and I was hoping to wear it during the summertime. The issue I had with this when I first reviewed it is that it goes on, and because it's such a bright shade, you need that coverage. And it's matte too, it's a matte finish. So you definitely need that opaque full coverage from the product, from the lipstick. And you should be able to, if you needed to add more, be able to add a second application without moving what's underneath. What I experienced is that it ended up, so I had one application on, applied a second to get that opaque look, and it ended up moving some of the product. But then as the lipstick settles, because that's what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to set and last for a long time and just not transfer at all. That's the other thing about this lipstick, is that it is like transfer proof. It just started looking like there are cracks here, and it looked terrible. It just looked terrible. So I'm going to try it again. My lips are exfoliated. It should, you know, have a very smooth surface to be applied on. So I want to try it again and test that out for you guys. Here we go. All right, that is like 1.5 application. I love the color, but I mean, look at this. Don't mind the lines here, a little bit out of lines. I'll clean it up, but can you see it's like not very opaque? And I want to apply a second application before it dries because it's just going to be worse. Once it dries and I go back in, it's just going to be worse. So let me go in now, fully like second application. Did you see that when I went in again, whatever I had on the spot just got moved over here? Like what is happening? What is happening? Still is a no for me. And I recognize that this look is very mismatched with the eye color, so it is not my intention to create a bad makeup look. I just really wanted on video show you the experience I had with it. And then in hopes that maybe this time around things could be different. Like, have I been too harsh the first time? Or the second time I've tried, like, have I been too harsh? So that's why I'm doing this video. It's not my intention to purposely create like a bad makeup look. My second to last item is going to be the Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal Liner. These ones just smudge on me. There's actually nothing wrong with the product, the way it goes on, the shade, there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, it's beautiful. It goes on beautifully. I have Ash, and also I purchased another olive shade. Beautiful. These are just so beautiful. So beautiful, but they just kind of smudge on me. You know, because I want to put them, and the way that I use them is on the upper lash line like this, and through it doesn't even take a day. I think within like 20-30 minutes, as I'm blinking and just normal movements, it just transfers onto the lower part of the lid, and eventually it just kind of slides around and ends up like right here. And I recognize that, you know, this is a common issue with Kajal liners. It depends on a lot of things like your lid's oil production, for example. And I've just had other Kajal liners that do better than the Victoria Beckham ones, and I so really wanted them to work for me. I know many people enjoy these liners, and they just don't work for me. So let me demonstrate. Let me try again. Put that under the lash line. For this last item here, it's not just one brand. It's really any mascaras that have this quality to it. And I have, just as an example, this is the YSL Fossil Mascara. I think it works just fine. It performs just fine. It gives you volume and length. The problem I have with it is the scent. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. We have mascaras that add perfume, fragrance to it so that it can mask some of the chemical scent. But either way, and this one actually, the YSL does have fragrance to it, but either way, it smells horrible. There's so many mascaras that just smell so horrible, and I think we put up with it because, you know, it's just like that. It's just like that. Most mascaras are like that. They go away, the scent kind of goes away quick enough, hopefully, that we can tolerate it. But from my experience with any mascara that have that scent, it doesn't go away. I can smell it throughout the day, throughout the entire day until I remove it. And I've come to really hate it, to really dislike it. There simply are better options out there that don't have this strong chemical scent and or has a beautiful natural scent. I have two mascaras that I use that I have been using very consistently over the past 1.5 years, and that's my benchmark for a mascara, is that not only does it need to perform and hopefully not smudge, but not only does it need to lengthen and volumize, all those things, but it needs to not stink. because there are simply better options. And while this mascara does lengthen and volumize, it smells bad. It just smells bad. It smells like chemicals and then layering fragrance on top of it. So the two mascaras that I'm talking about that I think pass on the scent and make it a much more pleasant experience is going to be no other than the Merit Volumizing Mascara. And it does have a bit of a scent. And it's almost like that same kind of chemical scent that you can find like on any, you know, drugstore to other, like to high-end brands. But it is ultra mild, and I almost even smell some natural essential oils to it. I have to check the ingredients, so I'm not making that statement. I need to check the ingredients, but it is just so mild. I do not smell this within 2 minutes after putting it on. It also performs. It also doesn't smudge on me, and that is why it's my go-to. The other go-to mascara I really love is from Chantecaille. They have infused rose water, is it? It's Rose de Mai scent. I wonder if the essence is like water or it's just like Rose de Mai essence. It smells like roses. It smells like Rose de Mai roses. No chemical scent. It just smells like roses. There's better. You guys, there's just better out there, and so that is why my last item is going to, it's basically a rant on Stinky mascaras. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to use them. I have just decided there are much better options, and I'm going to stick with those options. So those are all the items, all my makeup items that just haven't worked for me. And with mascara, it's a conscious decision to just move away with anything with a bad scent. So that is everything I want to show you guys. Once again, I'm really sorry about this makeup look. It wasn't my intention to do something so mismatched looking, but I really just wanted to show you the experience on camera. Obviously, if it was a better experience, I also want to be very transparent and honest about that. But I think my opinion has largely stayed the same for these items. Thank you guys for watching. I don't know if you guys enjoy this kind of content, but I think transparency and honesty is something a lot of you have told me has been helpful. And so if you like this content, leave a comment below. See you in the next one. Bye.